Angus, let's start with how the season started, which has been really positive. I mean, how are you guys reflecting on it internally? Because I guess there's an element of not wanting to get carried away, but also probably being quite pleased with what you've done so far. So how do you get that balance right?
I think we're in a really good place. I think confidence, which is obviously a big thing in this league and in sort of any sort of team that wants to be successful. I think the confidence is really high, and the belief in what we're doing, the way we want to play. I think that's sort of been the biggest thing so far in the first 3 games, even though I don't think like we've really sort of got into our full stride yet, because I think there's still things that we can work on. Obviously defensively we can be even tighter and get those clean sheets that we all really want. But I think the positives are we're obviously scoring lots of goals at the moment. A sort of build-up play is looking a lot more fluid than it was last season. I think we're obviously looking at all the positives and taking the confidence, but at the same time, we're looking at where we can improve as well.
It's interesting because you speak to supporters, and obviously you've done that a little bit tonight, and they all speak about the feeling being different, which is really hard to quantify. But have you felt that since you came back in from pre-season? I know you joined the group a little bit later, but has that feeling compared to what you had last season felt different for you?
Yeah, no, it has, and I think it comes with a lot of different things. I think obviously there's been a little bit of change in sort of the backroom team at the training ground. There's obviously been new faces added to the group, and then obviously the people that were here as well. I think there's been a lot of sort of evaluation and trying to improve individually and collectively. So I think all those kind of things added up together, sort of come to where it is now. And like you said, I think the feeling, not just within the group at the training ground and on the pitch, but also sort of the fans now as well and in the stadium. It's a really positive thing.
It must be really interesting, because I'm sure probably you personally probably feel like you don't maybe do too much different from what you were doing last season to this season, and yet that feeling, which is really hard to quantify and identify and really pin down and say this is the reason, this is the reason, this is the reason, must be really strange as a footballer, but also really special for a team when you kind of have that. And we've seen this place be a lot better as a result of it. Yeah,
no, I think it really sort of shows you how sort of finer details and how small little details can change things. Because I think it's not really far off. Like you said, I'm not really doing much different to what I was doing last year, or the manager's probably not doing too much different to what he was doing last year. It's just sort of little details that we've changed, evaluated and tried to get better at. And I think everything coming together. I think at the moment it's going really smoothly. Obviously it's a long season, so there's going to be bumps in the road, but I think if we can sort of stick to the path that we're going on at the moment, I feel like even if we come to them bumps, then I think we can sort of get over them and then hopefully come out the other side and still be stronger after that.
You spoke about changes earlier. Let's speak about some of them. Let's start with Tim Krul. That was obviously confirmed last week, going to Luton, Premier League opportunity. Just talk to us a little bit about him as a person and what he's been like to work with over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. I think obviously I knew the situation when I came back here. Obviously he was an unbelievable part of the promotions to the Premier League, and obviously the Premier League seasons as well. He played his part, and I obviously knew it would be difficult to sort of come in and get into the team straight away. But just working with him every day was great. And obviously over the past couple of years, there's been sort of that battle to try and get that number 1 shirt. But throughout that, we've never fallen out or anything like that. Is
that easy when there is that competition going on to maintain a kind of personal
I wouldn't say it's easy. Obviously, the one that's not playing is always emotionally sort of disappointed and probably not in the best headspace they could be. But I think if you go into training with the right attitude and the right sort of mentality and having that kind of relationship with each other, that it's not sort of between us, it's obviously the manager's decision. I think that works really well, and I can only say kind words about him, like with me, and obviously in the dressing room as well. I think he'll be sorely missed, around the whole training ground, and I think the whole club as well. I think even the stuff that he done in the community and stuff with everything like that. As obviously a Norwich guy myself, obviously that's probably something that I don't sort of look at too much, but him being from the outside and sort of really taking that into the family of the club, I feel like that just shows what kind of guy he is, really.
And goalkeeping department, I guess more generally, has had lots of changes. You've had a change in goalkeeping coach as well, from Ed Wootton to Paul Clements. What's that transition like for a goalkeeper? Because I guess it's different pair of eyes, different sort of methods. How have you found the transition from Ed to Paul?
Yeah, no, I think obviously it's definitely different. Every coach that you work with is different, but I feel like it's been a really smooth transition. I think it obviously helped that he worked with the manager and a lot of the coaches before coming here as well, so they obviously know how he works, and I think the way he sort of integrated us into sort of his sessions, and he came, obviously I think his first trip was Austria, and sort of just building us up and getting us into sort of his way of thinking, goalkeeping wise and training wise, and I think ever since then we've sort of gone from strength to strength, and I think the goalkeeping group is really strong at the moment. I think he's improving a lot of the younger goalkeepers as well that are coming up in the academy, which I think is important as well, and I think we work sort of tirelessly on sort of analysis and sort of reviewing games and not looking to improve, and also looking at the opposition as well. So I've really enjoyed the change, and I think I'm only going to benefit from it sort of on the pitch as well.
What is he saying to you? What are the areas that he's looking at you as a goalkeeper and wanting to improve or hoping to improve in the coming weeks, months, years, etc.?
No, he's just obviously pretty much everything really, but we've obviously identified little bits that he thinks can take me to the next level. Obviously, trying to get those match-winning saves out of me. I think that's definitely something that we've looked at, and we've set the target to try and get into the the team of the season as well. So I think it's just sort of setting long-term targets, and then obviously going through the sort of shorter term stuff as well, to try and reach that target, and then obviously ultimately, hopefully the team reach our target as well of getting to the Premier League.
For you, I mean, I was sat in a room with David Wagner last week, and he said that you were his number one. I think that's been probably pretty clear for a little while now. To have that and to have, or to head into a season with that, must be really nice for you, given maybe what you've had in previous years where it's been a little bit disjointed and you've had moments and been dipped back out again. It must be really nice to have a manager turn to you and say, no, you're my number one.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think he sort of sat me down at the end of last season, I think it was, and sort of told me his thoughts and what it was going to be like going forward. And like you said, I think definitely that's something that a player in general, but probably more even so a goalkeeper, sort of having that sort of clarity and having that belief in you from the manager. I think that's really important, and that obviously gave me confidence when he told me that. But at the same time, I feel like it's down to me now to sort of repay him that confidence and make sure that I do my job on the pitch as well.
Yeah, just a couple more, but that was going to be my next question, because it's a different type of pressure. You said when you came in, I guess you were in a similar position to what George is now, and you're trying to be that guy who's number one, and now you're in a position where you've got it and you're trying to keep it. So is that a different challenge? Do you have to use different tools, I guess, to cope with that?
Yeah, potentially. I think obviously, it's probably better having sort of that assurance. So you're not sort of thinking if I make one mistake then I'm going to be out of this team. So it gives you a bit more confidence to sort of not have that in the back of your head. But yeah, no. At the same time, I want to I've got ambitions of getting even better, and obviously I've got sort of targets of internationally now as well that I need to sort of focus on. So I think just trying to get that consistency in my game, and looking forward to the whole season really. Just want to keep my standards really high.
And just finally, there's obviously been a massive focus on leadership at the club over the summer. They've brought in Ashley Barnes, Shane Duffy, Tim Krul's obviously left. I mean, have you taken extra responsibility from a goalkeeping perspective, that you want to be more of a leader in the dressing room? Is that something that you've done? Is that something you do naturally anyway? What's that kind of been like over the summer, and how's it evolved?
Yeah, no, I think it's something that obviously, I've spoke to the manager and obviously the goalkeeping coach about a lot. Obviously with Tim leaving now, but from my point of view, I just want to sort of carry on, being myself. I feel like I'm a pretty good leader on the pitch. Off the pitch, I like to sort of integrate with all the lads anyway. So, I won't be sort of changing sort of the way I am in general. But obviously, at the age I am now, sort of the position I am at the club as well. But I know I've got a bit more responsibility on my shoulders as well. So, it's definitely something that I've thought about, and I'm ready for. But at the same time, I'm not going to sort of change who I am as well.
Sorry, this is the final one. I've got to ask you about Westy, who I know you've made a donation to. I think he's just past 40 grand this evening. Did an interview on our channels and got some stick, and then that's turned into a really positive story. It's just lovely, isn't it? How that's all unfolded.
Yeah, no, I think obviously after the game the other day, I seen his video on your channel, and then I seen a lot of people sort of saying about sort of the negative comments that I was getting, but then I looked on it and it was just so many positive ones. So I think it was a nice story. Obviously after a really good day for the club, and I think it was even nice to see that reaction of like the whole football family really, and to get his sort of charity donations over that amount of money. I think hopefully he'll be really happy with himself.
Good stuff.